For those of you who are watching me for the very first time, my name is James Ambroise, and on this channel we cover how to pay off debt faster than any other debt repayment method out there. We cover basic bookkeeping and accounting for someone who just started out a small business. We cover basic personal income tax to include a Schedule C, Schedule E, depreciation. I am also the author, creator of Ambroise Method 1.0. Ambroise Method 1.0 is a revolutionary debt repayment method that offers greater results in terms of reducing interest cost compared to debt snowball, debt avalanche, velocity banking. Real quick about my credentials: I have been or am a bookkeeper and accountant, QuickBooks Pro advisor, senior tax advisor, residential real estate investor, residential property manager, financial coach. And as always, before we get started with what's on the board, please allow me to shout out the name Jesus, my Lord, my God, my Creator. Thank you. All right, America, on the board we have this hypothetical scenario of somebody who filled out one of my Microsoft Excel worksheets, and the person provided me with these figures. For that, this person has a Navy Federal credit card, Regions Preferred Personal Line of Credit, One Main Financial Personal Loan. Okay. The credit limit $5,000, the APR $15.99, balance owed $4,700, monthly payments charged $108.10. $108.10, this is how much the person is being charged currently on that account. And again, this amount might vary, but for this given month, it's $108.10. Okay. Availability, we've learned on lesson 1 that the availability is the relationship between the credit limit and the balance owed. That relationship calls for a subtraction operation. 5,000 minus 4,700. That's how we arrive at $300. Okay. Credit utilization. Credit utilization is the relationship between the balance owed and the credit limit. That relationship calls for a division operation. 4,700 divided by 5,000. That's how we will have at 94%. Okay. Payment rate charge. Payment rate charge is the relationship between the monthly payment charge and the balance owed. That relationship calls for a division operation. 108.10 divided by 4,700. That's how we will have at 2.30%. Okay? On the Region Preferred Personal Line of Credit, it is a 2-3 personal line of credit. So 5 years total, where the first number represents the draw period. So it's a 2-year draw. The next number represents the repayment period, so 3 years repayment. So 2 years draw, 3 years repayment, 5 years total. Okay? And right now we're on year 1 of 5. Okay? This Region's Preferred Personal Line of Credit, the lender wants principal and interest payment. Remember from past lessons, sometimes these accounts are interest only, and some other times they are not just interest only, they are principal and interest. While Regions Preferred Personal Line of Credit, Regions requires principal and interest payment. Okay? And the principal and interest payment has to be $50 or 3% of the balance owed, whichever is greater. Okay? Now, on the One Main Financial Personal Line of Personal Loan, it is a 3-year personal loan, and right now we're on year 1 of 3. Okay? Now, we're doing a scenario for a single mom. You know, her income, she's on a bi-weekly pay period. Her income will come on the 5th of the month, and the next paycheck will come 14 days later, which is on the 19th of the month. Okay? The total for the 2 paycheck, her take-home pay, is $4,200. $757.68. Okay. For expense, she has $4,360.68. The expenses, that's when you add all these amounts that's on the board, every single one of them. That's the total expense. Okay. Out of these expenses, $1,103 could go on a credit card. These are these amounts that could go on a credit card. Okay, 149, 57, 50, 194, 353, 200, 100. Okay, when you add these amount up, the total is 1,103, and 1,103 could go on a credit card. Okay. For debt, her total debt is $29,270.76. Okay. The debt, that's when you add all these balances. 4,700 plus 15,000 plus $9,570.76. That's how we arrive at 29,270.76. Okay. And cash flow, we've learned from prior lesson that cash flow is the relationship between the income and the expense. That relationship calls for a subtraction operation. So $4,757.68 minus $4,360.68. That's how we arrive at $397 in cash flow. Okay. Now, question posed to me was, James, what do you mean exactly when you use the terminology shock and awe while paying off debt? Okay. All right, folks, today's date is October 14th, 2023. So and right now we are on lesson 8. Lesson number 8. And remember, America, the way that I want you guys to watch those lessons, watch lesson 1 before you watch lesson 2. Watch lesson 2 before you watch lesson 3, and so on. Okay? And so forth. All right, America. I'll give you about 5-10 seconds to take a look at what's on the board, and then we're going to start with the exercise. All right, America. And again, the question posed to me was, James, what do you mean exactly when you use the terminology shock and awe while you're paying off debt? Okay. All right, America. From prior lesson, we talked about how Ambroise Method 1.0 calls for a series of steps. Okay. And those steps has to be taken at least once a month. And these are the steps from past lesson. Segregate, let's go over the list real quick. Segregate, compare, transfer, repeat. There might be some conditions, some exceptions, some restriction to the strategy. And then these items are upstairs or below, above the line. Okay? And once we're completely done with the items that are above the line, then we go downstairs. So that's below the line. There goes the line. Then we have to answer some questions. Okay? Can we use cash flow, or can we make a large payment? Okay? And then after that, we have to answer the what. What? W-H-T. W, which account or accounts. H, how much of a payment to send, and T, to pay down or off which debt. So the what, which account, how much, to pay down off which debt. Again, real quick, the steps for Ambroise Method 1.0: segregate, compare, transfer, repeat, cash flow, large payment, and then the what, which account, how much of a payment, to pay off which debt. Okay, these were the steps for Ambroise Method 1.0, and you have to do those steps at least once a month. So every single month, say for example, we're in January, you do these steps in January. February, you do these steps. March, same steps, okay? At least once a month, okay? Now, segregate. Segregate, let's segregate now. We have, the way we segregate is by account type. And the way I prefer it, I want the revolving credit account on top, and I want the installment credit accounts at the bottom, okay? So we have a credit card, we have a personal line of, that's revolving. We have a personal line of credit, that's revolving when you still have draw period, when you're still in a draw period, okay? And again, the personal region preferred personal line of credit is a 2-3 personal line, and when we're on year 1 of 5. So we're still in the draw period. So for that reason, the region preferred personal line of credit is revolving, okay? Now remember from past lessons in America, if the account is doing a repay, if a personal line of credit is in a repayment period, then it's no longer revolving, okay? But this one was still in the draw period, so it is revolving, okay? And then we have one main financial personal loan, that is installment credit account, it's at the bottom. So as far as segregate, the list is perfect, okay? To save time, I've already I've done the segregation already to save time, okay? Next, America, is to compare. And how do we compare? We compare by APR, okay? Between account types, okay? So these two are the same, they are both revolving, okay? And we compare by APR, okay? And I like the highest APR to go on top, the lowest APR to go at the bottom by account type, okay? So the first two, highest on top, lowest at the bottom. One main financial is a personal loan, so we only have one personal loan, it's by itself, okay? So that's how we compare, okay? And when we're comparing, we try to identify the enemy, the troublemaker, okay? So globally, when you were looking at all the debt, we could see that one main financial is 35.99%, okay? Navy Federal 15%, regions at 10%. So we could clearly see that one main financial has the highest APR, okay? So one main financial for this particular example is the enemy because he has the highest APR, and one main financial for this particular example is the troublemaker because he has the highest APR, okay? Next, so the list is perfect. I've already rearranged the list, so we don't have to compare. The list is perfect. Okay. Next, we transfer. And the way we transfer, America, we transfer from highest APR, so we're trying to relocate balances from the highest APR to the lowest APR. The highest APR is 35.99. The lowest one is 10%. Okay, so balances from the highest APR, trying to relocate them to the lowest APR. Okay, whenever you can, if it makes number or math sense. Okay, so in this example, we're looking at the availability. We see for Navy Federal 300, for regions 4,000. So there is room, okay, for us to do balance transfer. So we're going to try to relocate some of the balances from the home main financial to regions, okay? Now let's figure out how much are we able to transfer, okay? Regions right now has a credit limit of 19,000 with a current balance of 15,000, okay? The credit utilization is at $78.95. Okay. On our method, we go as high as 99, close to 100% really, but as high as 99% of the credit utilization. Okay. But for this particular example, we're going to go 94%. Okay. So regions, let's try to figure out how much that is. Okay. The credit limit is 19,000. So if we're going to go 94%, so 19,000 times 94%. Okay. Let's see how much that is real quick. 19,000 times 94%. We have 17,860. Okay. But single mom already have a balance of 15,000. Okay. So 17,860 minus the current balance, 15,000. So she can only use, looks like 2860. Okay. Okay. So now she has $2,860 available to make a transfer or to do transfer with up to that amount. Okay. So now let's try to relocate. So we're going to try to relocate. Remember, we do not want balances on a higher APR. You know, we're always going to try to relocate them to a lower APR environment. Region is at 10%. Okay. So we're going to try to relocate out of the 9,570.76, 2,860 of it, we're trying to relocate it to the region one. Okay. So in this case, we're not dealing with Navy Federal right now, so Navy Federal gonna stay the same. So Navy Federal. Credit limit 5,000. The APR for Navy Federal 15.99, and again we're not touching Navy Federal. Navy Federal stays the same. Okay. Balance owed for Navy Federal 4,700. Okay. Monthly payment charge 108.10. Availability 300. Credit utilization 94%. And payment rate charge for Navy Federal 2.30%. Okay. Next is region preferred personal line. Okay. Credit limit 19,000. Okay. APR 10%. Okay. Now, we did say we're going to do balance transfer with the region, so and the region is going to increase to the max 17,860. That's 15,000 plus the 2,860, so 1750. Okay. The monthly payment charge. Remember, region charges $50 or 3% of the balance owed, whichever is greater. Okay, so 17,860 times 3%, because this one is principal and interest, and they want $50 or 3% of the balance, whichever is greater. So 17,860 times 3%, we are at 535.80. Okay. So 535.80 is greater than $50. So now we're gonna go with 535.80. Okay. The availability, we know that availability is credit limit minus balance owed, so 19,000 minus 17,860. So 19,000 minus 17,860. So we're at $1,140. Okay. And credit utilization is balance owed divided by credit limit. So 17,860 divided by 19,000. So we had 94% that we knew he was. Okay. And the payment rate charge, of course, we knew it was 3%, but let's do it just for good measure. Payment rate charge is monthly payments charge divided by balance owed. Okay. So 535.80 divided by 17,860. Okay. So that's how we arrive at 3% like we knew he was. Okay. So that was the regions. Okay. Next, we have one main financial. Okay. Credit limit, well, original amount. It's a personal loan, so it's not a credit limit, so it's original amount, 12,000. Of the loan, 12,000. The APR, 35.99. Balance owed. Now, we say we're going to relocate out of the 9,570.76, we're going to relocate 28.60 out of it. So 9,577.6 minus the 28.60. Okay. So 9,570.76 minus 28.60. Okay. So now we're at 6,710.76. Okay. Monthly payment charge, one main financial is a personal loan, so the monthly payment charge will stay the same. Okay. 54958. Okay. Availability, it's a personal loan, so the availability doesn't matter. The credit utilization, one main financial is a personal loan, credit utilization doesn't matter. And the payment rate charged, let's do it just for good measure, is the monthly payments charge, 54958 divided by balance owed, divided by 6,710.76. Should be at 8.19. Okay. Let's just round it up. 8.19%. Okay. All right, America. This is the first transfer. Okay. Now going back to the steps again. Now we've done one transfer. And this transfer was a mix and match transfer. Okay. Mix and match because it was a transfer between a revolving credit account, which was the region preferred personal line of credit, and an installment credit account, which was one main financial personal loan. Okay, so for our purpose, we refer to this kind of transfer as mix and match balance transfers. Okay. All right. Now, America, is there opportunity for us to do more balance transfer? Okay. So let's take a look. And again, we're always trying to transfer from the absolute highest APR to the absolute lowest APR. So we've already touched region, so region is done. So can we do more transfer? Can we relocate balances from the one main financial to the Navy Federal now? Since we're done with regions, now let's see if we could do any kind of transaction with Navy Federal. Okay. Navy Federal, when we look at the credit utilization, we are 94%. Navy Federal, when we look at the availability, we only have $300 available. Okay, so we are too close to max out on the Navy Federal Credit Union credit card. Okay, so Navy Federal is close to saturation point. Okay, only $300 available. Okay, so we're too close. We cannot do any balance transfer with Navy Federal because we are too close to the saturation point. Okay, so which means now that we are totally done with balance transfers. Okay, so we are done with all the items that are upstairs or above the line. There goes the line. Okay, so now since we are done with items that are above the line, everything above the lines have already been exhausted. So now we could go downstairs. We could go below the line. Okay. In America, below the line is to answer some questions. Can we use cash flow or can we make a large payment? Okay. Well, she did not receive any bonus checks. She did not receive any income tax refund. She did not receive any other additional funds. Okay, so there is no large payment. So in this case, we're going to be dealing with cash flow. Okay. But James, how much now is the cash flow? Because remember now, some of these numbers change. Okay. This one was 108, it stays 108. This one was 450, you went up to 535.80. This one was 549.50, it stays 549.50. So now let's figure out how much our cash flow is. Okay. So originally we have cash flow of 397. So now let's figure out how much is our new cash flow. Okay. And the way we determine our cash flow is the original amount on the monthly payments charge. So we have 108, 10 plus 450 plus 549, 58. Okay. Minus the new monthly payments charge. 108, 10 minus 535, 80 minus 549, 58. So our cash flow went down by 85.80. Okay? Our original cash flow, America, was 397, and our cash flow went down in a negative by 85.80. So it will be 397 minus 85.80. So now, America, our new cash flow is 31120. Okay. Now, remember from prior lessons, when you're dealing with a mix and match type of balance transfer, as you do these transfers, okay, the minimum payment on the region increased. You went from 450 to 535.80. So the minimum payment on the regions went up. Meanwhile, the one main financial which you did the transfer on stays the same, hasn't changed. Okay. So for that reason, America, now you have more expenses. You went from 450 to 535. So you have more expenses. Okay. So which means your cash flow gonna go down. Because remember, to get to cash flow, it is income minus expense. So if the expense went up, which means the cash flow gonna go down. Okay? All right, America. I'll give you about 5-10 seconds to take a look at what's on the board, and then we're going to continue with the exercise. All right, America. Now, we did this transfer. Let's find out, America, how much that we were able to save for executing that balance transfer. Okay? Remember, we transferred 2,860. We relocate 2,860 from the one main financial to the region's preferred personal line of credit. So let's figure out how much we save for, for doing the transfer. Okay. So one main financial and again, it was 2,860. Okay. So 2,860 times one main financial was at 35.99. So let's see how much we save for the month. Divided by 12. $2,860 times 35.99% divided by 12. So for the month, for doing the transfer on the one main financial, the interest on the one main financial would have been $85.78. Okay? If we didn't do anything. But remember, we did move 2,860 from the one main financial to the regions. Okay? And how much did that one cost us? The same 2,860, but the regions was at 10%. So for the month, for moving 2,860 into the regions, this is how much it's going to cost us for the month. 2,860 times 10% divided by 12. Okay. So now we are at 23.83. So before the transfer, 2860 would have cost us inside the one-man financial 8578. By moving it to the regions, it cost us only 2388 for the month. Okay. So how much we're saving is the 8578 minus the 2383. That's how much we're saving for the month for doing the balance transfer. Okay. So we had 61.95. Okay. And interest cost. Savings. Okay. All right. Now, remember, we're trying to compare balance transfer versus cash flow, okay? Because we know we have other debt repayment method that only uses cash flow, okay? Mainly debt snowball and debt avalanche. So let's see how debt snowball would do and how debt avalanche would do, okay? Because these folks only use cash flow. So for debt snowball, it would have been, remember that snowball wants to attack the lowest balance first. So on the board, we have 4,700, 15,000, and 9,000. So 4,700 is the lowest balance. And what they'll do to it, they'll send cash flow to that lowest balance, okay? Cash flow originally was 397, okay? So it would be the 397, okay? Times, if you're gonna send payment to the lowest balance, well, how much they charging on the lowest balance? On the lowest balance, they're charging $15.99. So every time you send $397 to that lowest balance, you are saving what they are charging you. So they're charging you $15.99, so you are saving $15.99. Okay. Okay. So let's figure out how much that is. 397 times 15.99 percent divided by 12. Okay, so that snowball would be saving $5.29 for the month. Okay. Okay. So now let's figure out how much that avalanche would save for the month, because these two uses cash flow only. Okay. Okay, so now we know that avalanche wants to attack the highest APR. So by looking at the APR, we have $15.99, we have 10%, we have $35.99. So $35.99 is the highest APR. So that avalanche will send cash flow to the highest APR account. So the highest APR account will be One Man Financial. So they would send $397 to this account. But how much they're charging on that account? On that account, they're charging $35.99%. Okay, so when you send payment to those accounts, you're saving what they are charging you. Okay, so you'll be 397 times 35.99 divided by 12 to see how much the average will be saving for the month. So 397 times 35.99 divided by 12. So that avalanche will do slightly better than that snowball by 11.91 for the month. Okay. All right. Now, America, as you could see, balance transfers versus cash flow. For doing a balance transfer, we were able to save $61.95 in interest cost. Okay? That snowball for attacking the lowest balance first would save $5.29 in interest cost for the month. That avalanche will save $11.91 for the month in interest cost savings. Okay? As you could see, America, where will you have more savings? We have $61.95 for doing transfer, $5.29 for using cash flow, and $11.91 for using cash flow. Okay? So as you could see, doing balance transfer in this particular example is more beneficial than using cash flow. Okay? Cash flow is too small. $5.29, $11.91 in the case of that avalanche, and $5.29 in the case of that snowball. Cash flow is too small. Okay? Let's see how many times that is. Okay? $61.95 divided by $5.29. Okay? That's 1171 times. That's the dead snowball one. And for dead avalanche, let's see how many times that is. $61.95 divided by 1191. That's 520 times. Okay. And again, America, which would you rather do? Follow a method that'll save you just $5.29 a month, when you could just do transfer that'll save you $61.95. Follow another method that'll save you $11.91, when you could do transfer that'll save you $61.95. Okay? As you could see, a lot of times executing balance transfers is more beneficial than using just cash flow. Cash flow, America, is too small. Cash flow will not go far enough in eliminating debt quickly. Okay, $5.29 per month, $11.91 per month, when you could be saving at least $61.95 per month. Okay, just on the transfer portion. Okay. All right, America, I'll give you about 5-10 seconds to take a look at what's on the board, and then we're going to continue with the exercise. All right, America. Whenever you're doing balance transfers, you always have to figure out how long it's going to take for you to recoup the fee, okay, to facilitate the balance transfer. In this case, for doing a transfer from Regions Preferred Personal Line of Credit, from relocating 2860 from the One Main Financial to Regions, it did not cost us anything, okay? But the formula is the fee, whatever the fee is, divided by how much you're saving per month. In this case, it's $61.90 for doing the transfer. So the fee divided by $61.95, so you're equal to how long? 0 month. okay, because it did not cost us anything. Okay. Now, in some scenario, the fee will be, it'll cost us something to execute the balance transfer. Okay. But for this particular example, it did not cost us anything. Okay. But I put it on the board just so you guys could remember the formula. It is the fee, whatever the fee is, in dollar amount divided by how much you're saving for the month. Okay. Which was $61.95 for doing the transfer. Okay. All right, America. I'm going to erase some stuff from the board. All right. So next up, for the step, we've already segregated transfer. No opportunity to repeat. Now we know we're going to be dealing with cash flow because we didn't have any large payment coming in. So now we have to try to insert the what. Okay? Which account, how much of a payment to pay off which debt. Okay? As part of the steps. Okay? Now, America, on our method, we always try to identify which account going to offer us greater results in terms of reducing interest costs. Okay? So first in line, alternative account, or the account that's going to offer us greater results. Reducing interest costs. Okay? And the account that should be first in line, alternative account, or the account that will offer greater results in reducing interest costs. From prior lessons, we've learned that it should be the account with the highest APR. Okay, so let's figure out which one has the highest APR. Again, we have 15.99, 10%, 35.99. So the 35.99 is the highest APR, and One Main Financial has the highest APR. So One Main Financial will offer us greater results in terms of reducing interest cost. Okay. So now, let's find out, for our method, we always look for the account that will offer us greater liquidity, okay, in terms of reducing interest, greater liquidity. One Main Financial is a personal loan, so we know One Main Financial will not offer us greater liquidity. Then we have Navy Federal credit card. Navy Federal is a credit card, and from the example, we know that the amount that could go, the bills that could go on the credit cards are only $1,103 when we have $4,360.68. So the credit card is limited. So the credit card cannot offer us greater liquidity because only 1,100 could go on a credit card when we have 4,000 and some change, when the expenses are a lot higher. Okay. So Navy Federal is a no-go. Now, Regions Preferred Personal Line of Credit, okay? It is a personal line of credit. So, Regions Preferred, and we are in a draw period, which means we could use it and reuse it, okay? And not only that, we could move money, easily from the Regions Preferred Personal Line of Credit. For that reason, Regions Preferred Personal Line of Credit will offer us greater liquidity. Now we got Regions PLOC. Okay. well, James, in the example, you told us that $1,103 could go on a credit card. So what then are we going to do with the $1,103? So we're gonna use the credit card for movements, okay? Because remember, guys, in the alternative account, when we have movement of income and movement of expenses going into the alternative account, even though it might be a situation where we employ Ambroise's wash technique. Let me put that on the board. Okay. So even if we employ Ambroise's wash technique, and again, I covered that in lesson 3, Ambroise's wash technique, for those of you who missed that lesson, it is a technique whereby the same dollar amount that goes into the alternative account is the same dollar amount that goes of expenses. I'm sorry, the same dollar amount that goes into the alternative account is the same dollar amount, that went out of the alternative account. Okay, and the overall interest charge for that account will still get reduced, or the overall interest rate for that account will still be reduced. Okay, so we'll still use Navy Federal for movement because we want to reduce the overall APR of that account, even if we have a scenario where where we employ Ambroise's wash technique. Okay, so for that reason, we're gonna use the Navy Federal credit card for movement. And again, guys, I covered all of that from past lessons, and Ambroise's wash technique was in lesson 3. Okay, so go back and watch that lesson, okay, because I cannot cover and recover everything in one lesson. And again, folks, the way I want you guys to watch those lessons, watch lesson 1 before you watch lesson 2, watch lesson 2 before you watch lesson 3, and so on and so forth. Okay, so we're gonna use Navy Federal credit card for movements of income and expenses. Okay, so you'll be Navy. Okay. All right. So now we have our 3 main account. The account that's going to give us greater results, that's a one-man financial because he has the highest APR. The account that will offer us greater liquidity, regions PLOC, you could move money in and out of the regions, no problem. Okay. And the credit card for movements. Okay. So we could reduce the overall interest charge on that account. Okay. All right. So now let's try to figure out our numbers. Okay. Let's start with the regular payment. For one main financial. One main financial regular monthly payment is $549.58. Okay. Next, we know that cash flow is better served in the account with the highest APR. That's still one main financial. So we're gonna send cash flow to one main financial. And our new cash flow is $311.20. Okay. and we have absorption. Okay. All right. Let's leave absorption alone for now. Let's move down to Navy Federal for movement. Navy Federal will accept its own minimum payment. That is 108.10. And Navy Federal will accept bills, expenses that could go on a credit card. We say it was $1,103. That's when you add all these balances. Okay. All right. So now, Regions PLOC will accept its own minimum payment. And for Regions, we have $535.80. And Regions, because Regions offer greater liquidity, Regions will accept the remainder bills that could not go on the credit card. Okay? Remember, the credit card were only able to accept 1,103 from the credit card. So let's figure out our numbers, because now that we have some of these numbers, it's easier now to figure out the bills that could not go on the credit card, how much that is. Okay? Single mom, her total income was $4,757.68. So $4,757.68 minus $549.58, minus $311.20, which was the cash flow, minus $108.10, minus $11.03, minus $535.80. Okay. For liquidity, we have an additional $2,150. Okay. When we add all these amounts, America, we should arrive at that $4,757.68. Okay. Now, earlier we skipped absorption opportunity. Let's start with the credit card first. Navy Federal credit card has two amounts. 108.10, which is the minimum payment on the Navy Federal, and 1103, which is amount bills that could go on a credit card. Okay? But Navy Federal is at 15.99%. Okay? America, we do not want to send too much payment to an account at 15.99% when we have a 35.99% on the board. Okay? So for that reason, we're not going to send these two amounts. We're not going to allow Navy Federal to keep these two amounts. Okay? Because Navy Federal, again, is only at 15.99% when we have a 35.99% account on the board. Okay? So for that reason, the account that offers greater results, which is the One Main Financial, will absorb one of these two amounts. But which one will he absorb? All right? 108.10, 108.10. 1103, 1103. When we send 1103 to the Navy Federal, $1,103, when we send payment, that large of a payment to Navy Federal, this $1,103 America will satisfy the minimum payment on the Navy Federal, which is 108.10. Okay? So since the payment will be satisfied, there will be a need to still send that payment to a lower APR account. And again, 5099, 3599. So for that reason, we're going to relocate, we're going to move the 10810 to the one main financial. Okay. All right. Well, James, that's one absorption. Is there an opportunity to do more than one absorption? Can we have a combined, can we have two? Let me put that on the board. Two absorption opportunities simultaneously. Okay, that's one. Can we have a combined two absorption opportunities simultaneously? So at the same time, can we have not one but two? Let's find out, America. Regions preferred personal line of credit offer greater liquidity. And again, we have two amounts going into the Regions preferred personal line of credit. Okay? Regions preferred personal line of credit is at 10%. When we have another account at 35.99% on the board. So we do not want any excess to remain in an account where we're only saving, because we're saving what they're charging us. If they're charging us 10%, we're saving 10%. So we don't want to send excess, too much payment to a 10% account environment when we have a 35.99 on the board. You see that? So for that reason, we're going to again relocate one of these two payments to the account with a higher APR. But which ones are we going to relocate? We have 535.80, we have 21.50. Okay. Regions prefer personal line of credit, minimum payment, regular payment is 535.80. So when we send $2,150 to the Regions preferred personal line of credit, that $2,150 payment will satisfy the 535.80. So we don't need to send the additional 535.80 to Regions preferred because the $2,150 will satisfy that payment. So for that reason, we're going to move, just like we've done for the Navy Federal, we're going to relocate this amount to the account with the higher APR. Because one main financial is at 35.99%. Okay? And again, America, do not send too much payment in an account with a lower APR when you have a higher APR account on the board. Okay? Don't make the mistake that my competitors are making. Okay? Because remember, when you're paying off debt, America, The APR is the standard. The APR is the barometer. The APR is the measuring stick. That's the account you need to attack. That's the account that you need to work on. Always when you're paying up debt. Okay? So, like we said, we're going to relocate the 535.80 to the account with the higher APR, which is One Main Financial. Okay? Okay? So now we have something that is revolutionary. An account that absorbs not one, but two. One, two. As of today, nobody else is teaching you that stuff. Nobody. Okay? This is what I refer to as the wisdom of Solomon. When you're paying off debt. Okay? America, you always have to take your time. Okay? Situational awareness always. Okay? That's why we have a holistic approach when it comes to paying off debt. Okay? We don't just rush in and start doing, stuff that don't really make too much sense. You have to look at what you have. Okay? Situational awareness. Okay? Global approach, holistic approach. Okay? Then you proceed. Okay? Based on what you have. Okay? Don't concentrate on one single account by itself. Okay? You have to have a global approach. Okay? A holistic approach. Okay? When it comes to paying off debt. Alright? As you could see, nobody in America is doing that kind of stuff. Okay? Ambroise Method 1.0 America is second to none. We emphatically beat the competition. Those guys, the debt snowball, the debt avalanche, the velocity banking group, this group, they come not even close. Okay? Not even close. We kind of in a league of our own. Okay? They're like right here, like way over here somewhere. And these guys are right there. Okay? We don't toy around with the debt. Okay? We aggressively go after the debt. Look at how much more that's going to go towards the One Main Financial. An additional 535.80, an additional 108.10, plus the cash flow. Okay? So the question that was posed to me was, James, what do you mean exactly when you use the terminology shock and awe while paying off debt? Well, this is what I meant. Shock and awe. We're trying to bring the One Main Financial into submission. We want One Main Financial, like I mentioned from a prior lesson, to raise its white flag. Okay. Shock and awe. Nobody's teaching you that stuff. Nobody. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Lord. All right, America. I'll give you about 5-10 seconds to take a look on what's on the board and what exactly I meant when I refer to that aspect of it as shock and awe while paying off debt. Okay? 5-10 seconds, America. All right, America. Now, let's figure out, answer the questions now. Which account? So we know we're going to be dealing with the three main accounts, one main financial, regions, one main financial, the account for greater results, regions for greater liquidity, and Navy Federal for movements. Okay? So how much on the one main financial? We have 549, 58 plus 311.20 plus 530, 535.80 plus 108.10. So one main financial should be 1504.68. This is how much? 1504.68. Okay, that's one main financial. In the regions, this one will become 2150, and this one will become 1103. So regions and Navy. Regions 2150. Remember, you have to answer the questions, America. You have to figure out the what. And 1103. Okay? And to pay off which debt. Okay. Let's start with the workflow. Okay. Single mom has a combined take-home pay 4,757.68. Okay. Let's assume the paycheck on the 5th and the paycheck on the 19th are equal. Okay. So 4,757.68 divided by 2. So the paycheck on the 5th would be, and the one on the 19th. The one on the 5th would be 2,378.84. Okay. Now, 2,378.84 touch down your checking account. So where does the money go? This is the workflow now. We say that the whole main financial will receive 1504.68, regions 2,150, Navy Federal 1,103. Now, this is where you have to pay attention to the due date, okay? Because you don't want to make a mistake by sending too much money to an account, and then meanwhile, your bills are coming due, and you don't have money reserved to take care of those bills that are coming due. So you have to pay attention to the due date, especially the account where you have to use cash or cash equivalent. Okay, well, let's take a look at the list. All these could go on a credit card: the electricity, the water, YouTube TV, T-Mobile, groceries, fuel, restaurant. And there goes the due date, 28th. The prepaid college tuition is due on the 20th. And this one, you have to use she has to use her rounding and account information, it's an ACH payment. The allowance she has to give to her daughter is due on the 25th, and she'll give her daughter $34. She will Zelle this money to her daughter, the $34. The house rent is due on the 1st. The house rent is $2,000, and the landlord wants cash. Okay? So America, you have to always pay attention to the amount that's coming up due, especially the bills where you have to use cash for. Okay? So these are credit card. These three you mostly have to use cash for. Okay? And again, let's pay attention to the due date, the 28th. So the other paycheck on the 19th, we still got time. One is on the 5th, one on the 19th. Those bills aren't due until the 28th. Now we have one that's due on the 20th, 20. The second paycheck should be able to cover that if it's only 106. Then you have another one that's due on the 25th. Well, we have another paycheck on the 19th. That paycheck should be able to cover that. Now the house rent is due on the 1st. Everything else is due on the 28th. First paycheck should be able to take care of those. Second paycheck should be able to take care of those. But we have this house rent, America, on the 1st. Okay. Now, remember, for our method, we do not like to pay bills to pay expenses towards the beginning of the month, while the 1st is towards the beginning of the month. Okay, we want to move all our bills, all our expenses towards the end of the month. That way we give the account, the alternative account, an opportunity to receive income first. Okay? So for watching some of my videos, she understood the concept. So instead of paying direct on the 1st, she's been paying the rent a few days prior. Okay? She's been paying it at the end of the month of the prior month to achieve a 28 due date, a 29 due date, a 30 due date, a 31 due date. So even though the rent is due on the 1st, she's been paying it a few days earlier in the month prior. So she's been doing the right thing. Well, that's one of the options that she had, and she took advantage of that option by paying the rent, which is due on the 1st, a few days early, for the month prior, to achieve a 28 due date, 29 due date, 30, and a 31. And for those of you who are going to do that kind of strategy, remember, you have to be consistent. Every month, you have to still pay it early. Right now, we're in October, okay? This one is for November 1st, okay? So she's gonna pay the November 1st at the end of October, okay? Today is October 14th, that's today's date. Okay? So October has, let's see, October, November, December, October has 31 days. So which means she's gonna pay the rent on October 31. Okay? On October 31, she's gonna send the payment for the rent, which is only 1 day earlier because it's due on the 1st. Okay? We're in October. The rent for November is due on the 1st, but she's gonna pay it 1 day early in this particular example. Okay? On October 31, landlord wants cash, so she's gonna send the payment to the landlord. Okay? In a situation like this. Okay? All right. So for first paycheck, which was on the fish, this is how the workforce should have been. Okay? 2003, 78.84 on the first paycheck, and 78.84 on the second paycheck. Let's take care of the first one first. 2003-78.84, touch down your checking account. Well, where does the money go? One main financial, we say 1504.68. This one's going to be at the end of the month, this one on the 20th, so the second paycheck will take care of it. So one main financial will receive the entire 1504.68 from checking account to one main financial, the entire 1504.68. 1504.68. Okay. So now, how much we have left? 2378.84 minus 1504.68. 2378.84 minus 1504. So now we have another account that's going to accept 874.16. Okay. $874.16. Okay. So now, which account is that going to is going to be? In this particular example, we won't have any issue with due date. Because everything is due towards the end of the month. And for the cash payment, the paycheck is large enough to where it's going to cover the cash items. Okay? So now, again, situational awareness, this 874.16 could go to either the Navy Federal credit card or the Regions Preferred Personal line. Well, James, which one should it go to? Well, Navy Federal is at 15.99%. Regions Preferred Personal line is at 10%. And again, America, situational awareness. Got to know what you have, okay? The cash items will not be an issue. So now, I have the choice to send payment to a 10%, and I have the choice to send payment to a 15.99%. Where should I send the payment to? A 10%, 15.99%. So of course, we want to send the payment to the higher APR. Okay? So Navy Federal will receive the 874.16. Again, America, take your time, okay? The concept is not hard at all, fairly easy, okay? We always attempt to attack the higher APR first, okay? To the extent that we can, when we can, okay? Because sometimes we can't because we have to account for bills that are coming due and those bills need cash. Well, you're not gonna send the whole thing to a credit card when you need cash. But we don't have that kind of problem here. Okay? So the next highest APR account, this is where the payments needs to go. Okay? And again, those payments are better served in a higher APR account. Okay? Not the lower APR accounts. Okay? So in this case, regions not gonna receive anything. Okay? That's the first paycheck. And on the next paycheck, $23.78.84, touch down your checking account. Well, where does this money go? One Main Financial received the entire thing, the entire amount on the first paycheck already. So One Main Financial is not going to receive anything, so it's going to be zero. Navy Federal going to receive the difference, because remember, Navy Federal total was 1103. So 1103 minus 874.16. So Navy Federal will receive 228.84. Make sure I didn't make any mistake on the math. 874.16 plus 228.84, 1103, perfect. And on the first one, 1504.68 plus 874.16, 2378.84. Perfect, times 2, 47576, 47576. Perfect. Okay. Regions did not get anything, so now regions gonna get the 2150. Because they didn't get anything on the first paycheck, so now they're gonna get the entire 2150 on the second paycheck. Okay. And again, for total, remember the total paycheck was $23.78.84. So 228.84 plus 21.50 should be $23.78.84. Let's do it just for good measure. 228.84 plus 21.50. Okay, 23.78.84. Perfect. Okay. So now let's answer the final questions to pay off which debt. Because remember on the what, which account? These are the three main accounts we're going to use. One Main Financial, Regions, and Navy. How much? One Main Financial gonna receive 1504.68, Regions 2150, Navy Federal 1103 to pay off which debt? Okay. The credit card, Navy Federal, will take care of all these debts. Real quick, let's put down the new amount for Navy Federal. The new amount for Navy Federal is still 108.10. Regions 535.80. And One Main Financial hasn't changed. It's a personal loan. You still stay 549.58. Okay. Okay. So now again, the Navy Federal will take care of all of these, so that's Navy. Okay. Regions is 2150. So regions will take care of all the bills, because remember, regions offer greater liquidity. So all these bills, regions gonna take care of. The 2000 in house rent plus 34 bucks. Daughter's allowance, 34 bucks on the 25th. So 2000 plus 34 bucks plus 116 for prepaid college tuition for the daughter. Okay, so regions will take care of these three. So we got regions. We take care of this one, that one, and that one. So regions will take care of these three. This one, that one, that one. That's that 2150. We're inserting to pay off which debt now. Okay? And one main financial is 1504.68. Okay? This is all these amounts, because remember, one main financial going to absorb the levy federal minimum payment. One main financial going to absorb the region's payment. One main financial will receive its own minimum payment, plus one main financial will keep the cash flow, which was 311.20. Okay, for a grand total of 1504.68. But let's double check just for good measure. 108.10 plus 535.80 plus 549.58 plus 311.20. Perfect. 1504.68. Okay, 1504.68. So 108.10, that's that one. 535.80, that's this one. 549.58, that's that one. And the new cash flow 311.20, that's this one. Okay? So to pay off which debt, we know which account will take care of which debt. Okay? So our workflow is complete, America. So we are done with that aspect. Okay? All right. I'll give you about 5-10 seconds to take a look at what's on the board, and then we're going to continue with the exercise. And again, America, the question posed to me was, James, what do you mean exactly when you use the terminology shock and awe while paid off debt? Okay, this is what I meant. Okay. Look at the one main financial. Look at how much money we have going into the one main financial. 1504.68. The new balance is only 6,000. If every month we're sending at least 1504.68 to that account, as you could see how fast we're going to overwhelm that debt. Okay? How fast we're going to get rid of that debt. How fast we're going to bring one main financial to submission. Okay? That's what I meant by shock and awe while paying off debt. Okay? Now, not every example afford us the opportunity to be that aggressive. Okay? But when we do, we'll take full advantage of everything. Okay? We're not going to keep or send excess payment to lower APR account. We're always going to try to send those payments instead to the higher APR account. Okay? That's how you achieve greater results in reducing interest cost. Okay? Because remember, there's no need to be sending extra payment to a 10% Regions PLOC. And from past lesson, we talked about how the HELOC, the PLOC, the BLOCs, all-in-one loans, first lien HELOC, with one-way sweep, two-way sweep, all these accounts combined, they are poor performing alternative accounts. Okay? And again, I mark out every single one of them. The HELOC, home equity line of credit. The PLOC, that's a traditional HELOC. The PLOC, personal line of credit. The BLOC, business line of credit. All-in-one loan. Sometimes all-in-one loan and first lien HELOCs, those two sometimes are interchangeable, but they could be different products. All-in-one loan. The first lien HELOC, not a traditional HELOC, a first lien HELOC with a one-way sweep. A first lien HELOC with a two-way sweep. I cover all that from past lessons, okay? And again, I'm working. Go watch these past lessons. All these accounts, the HELOC, the BLOC, the PLOC, the all-in-one loan, the first lien HELOC, whether it's one-way sweep, whether it's two-way sweep, America, they are all poor performing alternative account, okay? Because they generally have an interest rate that is considerably lower . They generally have an interest rate that is considerably lower than another account on the board. In this case, the PLOC was at 10%. When we have an installment loan at 35.99% on the board, that's the one-man financial. At 35.99%. Okay? And we also have a Navy Federal at 15.99%. Don't keep sending payments to a 10% account environment when we have not only a 35.99% on the board, you also have a 15.99% on the board. Okay? And again, America, from past lesson, okay, we cover how the HELOC, the PLOC, the BLOC, the all-in-one loan, the first lien HELOC, one-way sweep, first lien HELOC, two-way sweep. These accounts are all poor performing alternative account when we have another account on the board with higher APR. Okay? There is absolutely nothing special about a HELOC, about a PLOC, about a BLOC, about an all-in-one loan, about a first lien HELOC, about with a one-way sweep, with a two-way sweep, when we have higher APR, a considerably higher APR account on the board. Okay? These accounts, all they offer you, America, is greater liquidity. Look at the PLOC in this example. Very liquid. Okay? Greater liquidity, that's all. Okay? So which means you could use them for transfer and some other stuff. But in terms of receiving cash flow is better serving a higher APR. So that's why cash flow, the 311.20, went to the one main financial instead. Okay? Extra payment, all these extra payment that got absorbed, they were better off in a higher APR account. In fact, Not only that, we move funds that would normally be earmarked for the PLOC at 10%. We move it away from the PLOC to the higher APR account. Okay? That's why the one main financial absorb the PLOC. Nothing special about these accounts. Instead of leaving funds in those accounts, America, for 3 months, for 6 months, for 9 months, for 1 year, like our competitor, that's no Velocity Banking is doing. No. Don't leave the money inside no PLOC for 3 months, 6 months, 9 months. You have to allow the account with the higher APR to absorb that amount. That's how you achieve greater results in terms of reducing interest costs. Okay? And again, when you're paying off debt, you shouldn't have to wait. Okay? Keeping the money inside a PLOC as a holding account, as an escrow account for 3 months, 6 months, 9 months. No. You wait, you lose. You shouldn't have to wait at all. As soon as you have the money, send it in. In this case, 535.80 is better served in a one main financial than it is in a region's PLOC. Okay? And again, America, do not make the mistake that my competitor, Velocity Banking, is making. Okay? By, first of all, these folks practices, what I call favoritism. They want to use the region's HELOC for everything. Okay? The region HELOC to chomp, the region HELOC to as a debt weapon, the region HELOC to keep a cash flow. Okay, from prior lessons, we've already covered all of that, that these accounts, all those different jobs, okay, the transfer, the alternative account, the cash flow, that's our attack. Okay? You have to treat them as 3 separate jobs. Okay? So for that reason, you have to use the account or accounts that are best suited for those jobs. Okay? All right, don't make that mistake. Okay? This is what I meant about the fact that if you have been using debt snowball, debt avalanche, and Velocity Banking in the past to pay off debt, obviously you could see how truly you've been paying off debt the wrong way. Okay? All right, America, I'll give you about 5-10 seconds to take a look at what's on the board, and then we're going to continue with the exercise. All right, America. In case you didn't realize it, on our method, Ambroise Method 1.0, we hate babysitting, to have to babysit balances from a higher APR. We were always trying to relocate these balances. So it was 9,570. We're trying to bring it down to 6,710. So we locate 2860 to another account. Okay, that is why the regions went up from 15,000 to 17,860. Okay, and the one main financial went down by 2860. Okay, America, you always have to relocate balances from those higher APR. Okay, and in order to facilitate relocating balances from higher APR, I created I devised multiple ways on how to execute balance transfer. From past lessons, we know we do normal balance transfers. We do artificial balance transfers, where we employ Ambroise's charge pay technique, and we have two variations of it. We got another Ambroise charge pay technique. One of them is normal. One of them is inducement. And we also do mix and match. And we also utilize plastic malleable or similar entities. Okay. Just like I mentioned from past lessons, look at how many different ways we try to execute balance transfer. Normal, 1. Mix and match, 2. Artificial, Ambroise charge pay technique, 3. Normal, Ambroise charge pay technique, 4. Inducement, plastic, 5. Malleable, 6. Similar entities, 7. Okay. As you could see, Ambroise Method 1.0 is a very aggressive debt repayment method. And again, America, we don't toy around with the debt like the other debt repayment methods are doing. We aggressively go after the debt and get rid of the thing. Okay? Because remember where we are. 64% of us living paycheck to paycheck, and 68% of us cannot come up with a $400 emergency. Okay? The reason why, like I mentioned from past lesson, you have so much of your income going towards interest charges. Look at this one main financial, $35.99. Okay. All right. All right, America. I'll give you about 5-10 seconds to take a look at this real quick, and then we're going to continue with the exercise. All right, America. Let me put on the board some of our techniques. So we have Ambroise's partitioning a balance. We have Ambroise's wash technique. We have Ambroise's charge pay technique. We have two variations of this one. Normal. We have Ambroise's charge pay technique. inducement. We have shock and awe. We have two absorption opportunities simultaneously. And we have using three alternative account simultaneously. Okay. There might be more. These are some of the ones I could remember for now. As you could see on our method, we have Ambroise's partition in a balance, Ambroise's wash technique, Ambroise's charge pay technique, normal, Ambroise's charge pay technique, inducement, shock and awe, which we covered today. Two absorption opportunities simultaneously, which we covered today. One absorption opportunity, two absorption total, okay? 1, 2. And on our advanced version, we also have using three alternative accounts simultaneously. Okay. All these items, or most of these items, are revolutionary. Okay. So as you could see, in one season, like I mentioned from a prior lesson, I brought you all these different ways to attack debt. Okay? So if you are still part of that statistic, that's not my fault. I've done my job. Okay? And as you could see, Ambroise Method 1.0, America, is pregnant with numerous strategies and techniques. To help you in your fight against debt. Right? And again, there shouldn't be any reason now for you to still be part of that statistic. One of my goals is to completely pull you out of that statistic, where 64% of you guys are living paycheck to paycheck, and 68% of us cannot come up with $400 emergency. Okay? So, take your time, try to watch some of these lessons, okay? Lesson 1 before lesson 2, lesson 2 before lesson 3, lesson 3 before lesson 4, and so on and so forth, okay? This is lesson number 8. Okay, America? I'll give you about 5-10 seconds to take a look at what's on the board real quick, and then we're going to continue with the exercise. my name is James Ambroise. I am the author, creator of Ambroise Method 1.0, our basic version. There is another version that I'm working on, Ambroise Method 2.0, where I introduce more complex scenarios, more complex case studies. Ambroise Method 1.0 is a revolutionary debt repayment method that offers greater results in terms of reducing interest cost compared to debt snowball, debt avalanche, velocity banking. Thank you, Jesus. Until next time, America. Good morning.